Hey, what's up, guys? So, today I'm going to be talking about something that I've been sitting on for almost 10 years.
10 years? Hey!
Forewarning, I do have a cold, so I sound a little stuffy. Now, I've been letting this simmer for, almost 10 years, really since The Force Awakens came out. And let me just describe to you the experience. I watched the trailer, and a friend I was with cried. I didn't cry, but vicariously through that friend, I sort of cried. I just felt something in my soul. I was like, wow, there's hope. There is meaning in the universe. I don't know why I was so excited. I mean, I'm a child of the prequel trilogy. Like, I grew up early 2000s. That was my jam. I loved lightsabers and the games and the books and really all of the Star Wars content that I was just getting fed over that decade or two. And then to have the sequel trilogy come out and to know that, oh, wow, there are going to be new Star Wars movies. I mean, it was so exciting. Now, I go to the theater when it releases and I am sitting there, I'm watching it, I'm enjoying it. I think there's a lot of great setup here. Rey, her storyline, it's pretty intriguing, pretty true to the Star Wars brand. Finn, a stormtrooper who turns, like, we have never seen that before. They were just kind of these mindless machines, for better or for worse. I mean, obviously humans, but there was no character behind the mask, and he brought the person to the stormtrooper. I really thought his whole concept was pretty brilliant in the setup. Now, did they deliver through the trilogy? Of course not, but it was a great idea. And then, of course, you have the Rebel pilot, kind of your standard Star Wars archetype. So overall, the setup was great. And as I was watching the movie, I thought, wow, I really enjoy this. It was so cool to see Han Solo again and Chewbacca and just to feel like you're watching a new chapter of the Star Wars universe. And my gosh, I did not know that I was watching Pandora's Box. And it burst wide open. So the Force Awakens, overall, I thought it was a good movie and pretty solid setup. But after I watched it, I was sitting there and I was thinking, man, that planet laser thing, because of course I didn't remember what it was called. How is that legal? How did they let that be written into the story? Why is no one talking about it? And I was outraged on the inside just thinking, this is a really stupid idea. And if you stop and think about it for 5 seconds, you realize, yeah, kind of is. There is almost no redeeming quality of this idea of the Starkiller base. So today we're going to dive into why it's a dumb idea and what they should have done differently. To start with, the Starkiller base looks like an evil Pokemon ball. So during the Galactic Empire, Ilum, that planet, was mined for the Kyber crystals, which I know a lot more about thanks to the Andor series. And these were to be used in the Death Star's laser. Naturally, they are all about recycling and so decided, hey, we've pretty much destroyed this planet's core. Why don't we go ahead and turn it into a bigger weapon than the Death Star? So how does it work? Let me read you through it. It is the culmination, by the way, this is straight from Wikipedia. It is the culmination of the Galactic Empire's research into dark energy, translations, and hyperspace tunneling. The enormous arrays of specially designed collectors used the power of a sun to attract and send dark energy to a container unit at the core of the planet where it was held and built up until the weapon was ready to fire. Its ability to concentrate dark energy in this manner gave Starkiller Base access to a practically unlimited source of energy, which it could then fire out in several different directions at once at different planets in the solar system, because that's how space works. You just kind of, you aim and you shoot and, hopefully it's not off by the smallest thousandth of a degree. Otherwise, you're going to miss by miles out there in outer space. But this, did you hear that? It just doesn't make sense at all. And by the way, why does it shoot out these massive lasers if it's consuming the sun? Or a sun, a star. If it's destroying stars, it is thereby going to destroy the solar system around them. So that's one aspect of it that I think is completely flawed. The other aspect of it is, okay, if it destroys one star and it shoots out and destroys this new republic that's been set up, then how does it fire again? Can it fire again? Does it need another star? Can it move? Does it have boosters? Can you do that with a planet? And all these questions came to my mind. And it's not like, hey, it's Star Wars. There is room for creativity and for imagination. Absolutely. Like, do lightsabers make sense? Probably not if we're breaking it down. But it's the mysticism of the Force that is the real draw with the lightsabers, is being able to use the Force in conjunction with this tool to have something even more powerful than a blaster. My problem with the Death Star isn't so much the physics of it, which I'm going to be honest, I don't understand. I can't talk to you intelligently about. I'm sure there's somebody out there on Reddit who has all the answers for how this could work. By the way, I know that I'm going to get a lot of people in the comments arguing about how this makes sense, so bring it on. I'm excited to hear it. Please educate me.
Great supine protoplasmic invertebrate jellies.
My mission here is not to attack the physics of it or to justify its existence, on the other hand. No, it's not. It is to argue this is the true point where the legacy of the original trilogy ended. And it is not, in fact, with Palpatine's rise, which everyone will point to and say, wow, that is spitting on the storylines of the original trilogy. No, I think it starts here. I think it started in The Force Awakens, and not a lot of people recognize that. But what I would argue, and I think this is irrefutable, is that the original trilogy ended with the Empire falling and the setup of the New Republic. What the Starkiller base does, and what The Force Awakens as a whole movie does, is completely break that down. We have this First Order that is set up as the new big bad in the universe, and we're back to being rebels, or the Resistance this time.
Rebranded.
Trying to fight against the man. It's the exact same copy and paste of what we saw in the original trilogy, and of course it has to be that the Empire's in power and that we are the go hard, go lucky, scrappy rebel forces trying to fight against it. I personally would have loved if they had taken a little bit of a different direction here. Let's back up. Why does the Resistance exist? How does it exist prior to the Starkiller base firing out its lasers? Well, Leia Organa, because she has nothing better to do except lead rebellions, was looking into the growing threat of the First Order. She had sources that apparently the Republic did not, and she was not able to convince them to marshal their forces and squash this new threat. And so, with no one listening to her, she formed the Resistance, which was supposed to be her counterterrorism group.
The Taliban is the worst.
And this group was created specifically to avoid war in the galaxy. Now, that is why you have the Resistance, and then in the background, the First Order is working on Starkiller base all this time. So this is the setup or the context for the sequel trilogy and these warring forces. J.J. Abrams, he was basically like, okay, we're just going to do a hard reset, and then we're going to try and copy a lot of the storyline of the original trilogy. Now, Rian Johnson, he had his own issues, but what J.J. Abrams kept making the same mistake doing was trying to erase the legacy of the original trilogy. His best idea here was, hey, let's create a bigger, better Death Star. And I can read you a direct quote by him. It is very much, and it's acknowledged as such in the movie, apparently another Death Star. But what it's capable of, how it works, and what the threat is far, far greater. I threw that extra far in there. Than what the Death Star could have done. Starkiller base is another step forward, technologically speaking, in terms of power. So the best he could come up with was a bigger, better Death Star 2.0. How this could have worked is if that is what they had been building the entire time throughout the trilogy, but that's not what we saw. Instead, in movie 1, it somehow wipes out entire planets and basically breaks the back of the New Republic so that the First Order can rise up, be back in power, and then we have the Resistance trying to go against them. So it's that same tired story. Now, I would have been curious. I really wish that Rian Johnson had just taken a vacation to the Cayman Islands, and instead J.J. Abrams had finished the sequel trilogy just so that we could see what are these arcs, what are these storylines that he set up in The Force Awakens, and how would he have ended everything? Would he have still decided on bringing Palpatine back? Was that not just a marketing ploy? What ended up being the big bad in The Rise of Skywalker? Well, it was a massive, massive fleet of Star Destroyers. Logistically, again, let's just ignore how this could even be fathomable.
It's without fathom.
How this could be feasible. And Palpatine, the Emperor, he's back. Woo!
Somehow Palpatine returned.
So I would argue, this is where the legacy of the original trilogy ended, not with Palpatine's rise like most people would think. As a story device, I think that it was cheap and that there could have been way better ways. Even if they had only killed off Han Solo, I think the emotional impact of that scene would have been a lot more powerful. If there had been no firing of the laser at all, that storyline would have held. And what I mean by that is we as an audience had a connection to Han Solo. When he died, and again, they should have made his death more dramatic. It was basically Kylo Ren decided, yeah, I'm on the dark side. And then he swings back and forth and back and forth. He really is an emo Jedi, and I think he gets way too much love. So watch out. I might make a video about him as well. But they could have ended with Han Solo's death, the Starkiller base being the headquarters. It's discovered. The First Order kind of flees, maybe, if that's a concern. And then the war begins, right? Because their base is found out. Or that could just be the catalyst, the launch for now we're ready to show ourselves and to fight. You really didn't need that planet laser. It accomplished nothing other than wiping out the Republic. And it was done so in a very cheap and quick way. It was junk food for the brain. I'm surprised more people didn't voice concern about it. Maybe they did. Maybe we were all just really hopeful because we wanted to see some good Star Wars movies. And
Rebellions are built on hope.
at that point, the trilogy had not yet shot itself in the foot. So all that to say, Starkiller Base makes no sense, does not add to this story, does not get enough hate. It was a lazy way to try and force the story into a certain position so that it could set up other stories down the road.
Yes, I really did.